The Champions League final is days away. Arsenal are already in preparation mode. And in the last 24 hours alone, Pep Guardiola has publicly declared his faith in Mikel Arteta. Victor Gyökeres has walked into a camera and said 4 words that sum up everything. We need the trophy. Patrick Vieira has named the one Paris Saint-Germain player he believes can destroy Arsenal's dream. And behind the scenes, the club is already moving on transfer targets before this season has even finished. This is not build-up noise. This is not media filler. Every single thing happening around this football club right now is pointing toward one moment, one game, one chance at history that Arsenal Football Club has never had before in their entire existence. The question is not whether Arsenal belong on this stage. They are Premier League champions. They have already answered that question. The real question now is whether they can handle the weight of what Saturday actually means. And from everything coming out of that dressing room right now, the answer appears to be yes. Stay with me, because we are going to break down every single piece of this story right now. Pep Guardiola sends an emotional message to Mikel Arteta. The first thing that caught my attention this morning was a message from Pep Guardiola. Now think about what that means for a moment. Pep Guardiola, the Manchester City manager, the man who has won everything there is to win in club football, took the time to publicly send his support to Mikel Arteta ahead of the Champions League final. He described Arteta as a very good coach and a very technical man. He admitted that Arsenal were one of the toughest teams his Manchester City side faced this entire season. And then he said something that I think every Arsenal supporter should hear clearly. He said he knows how hard Arteta is to beat. And on top of that, Guardiola revealed he genuinely believes Arteta can lead Arsenal to European glory. His exact words were that he strongly has faith that Arteta will win the Champions League. And he closed by saying that Arteta should know he has all of his support. Now let me give you my reading of this moment. This is not small talk. Guardiola does not do things without purpose. When a man of his experience and his standing in world football publicly backs you ahead of the biggest game of your life, it says something important. It says the respect between these two men is deep and genuine. But more than that, it says something about how Arsenal are now perceived across Europe. We are no longer a club that people feel sorry for. We are no longer a club that people dismiss. The manager of Manchester City, arguably the most decorated club manager on the planet right now, is saying publicly that he believes Arsenal will win the Champions League. That is not a small statement. That is a statement that reflects just how far this club has travelled under Arteta's leadership. And it sets the tone perfectly for everything else we are going to discuss today. Victor Gyökeres delivers a fearless pre-final message. Moving on to the Arsenal dressing room itself. Victor Gyökeres has spoken ahead of the final, and his message was as clear and direct as you would expect from a striker of his mentality. He said simply, and I want you to hear these words carefully, he said he came to Arsenal to win. He made it crystal clear that Arsenal are not treating this final as a special occasion to just enjoy the moment. They're going to Munich or wherever this final is being played with one mission only: to win. He went further. He said this is no joke final. He said Arsenal are in this final not by mistake. They worked for it. And perhaps the most powerful line of all, he said they need the trophy. That is all they need. Now let me analyse what Gyökeres is communicating here. This is a striker who was brought to Arsenal with enormous expectation. And from everything we can see and hear, he has not come to admire the occasion. He has come to define it. The mentality inside that squad, based on what he is saying, is completely focused. There is no distraction. There is no sense of being grateful just to be there. The mindset is winning. Only winning. That is the mentality of a squad that has already won the Premier League this season. They know what it feels like to finish first. They are not coming to Paris Saint-Germain's final with fear. They are coming with the confidence of English champions. And Gyökeres, as a key part of that attacking force, is making sure everyone understands the intention inside that dressing room. The Arteta versus Luis Enrique debate. There has been a very interesting discussion circulating around whether Mikel Arteta or Luis Enrique is the better manager. And I think it is worth addressing properly because it goes to the heart of what Saturday's final actually represents. Luis Enrique is a legend of the game. His Barcelona sides were among the finest we have ever seen. He has medals that few managers in history can match. His work at Paris Saint-Germain has been genuinely transformative. He took a squad that was built around individual superstars and turned it into a collective unit with genuine team identity. That is real coaching. But here is the argument being made, and it is a compelling one. The question is whether Luis Enrique could have done what Arteta has done at Arsenal. Because what Arteta inherited was not a squad in transition. It was a club in crisis. A club that was not competing with Manchester City or Liverpool in any meaningful way. The culture needed to change. The mentality needed to change. The identity needed to be rebuilt from the ground up. The evidence now suggests that Arteta did exactly that. And here is the detail that I think gets overlooked in this debate. Arsenal now go into this final not as challengers chasing silverware, they go in as Premier League champions. That is a completely different psychological position. Paris Saint-Germain are not facing a team that is desperate to prove themselves. They are facing the champions of England. And that shift in status, that shift in identity, matters enormously in a one-off final. Would the same transformation have happened in reverse if you put Arteta in charge of Paris Saint-Germain and Enrique in charge of Arsenal? That is genuinely debatable. But what is not debatable is that Arteta has achieved something historic at this football club. And on Saturday, we will see if that achievement can be crowned with the ultimate prize. Arteta on what he inherited at Arsenal. Arteta himself has been speaking openly this week, and one of the things he addressed was the state of Arsenal when he first arrived. He described it as a completely different animal compared to clubs like Manchester City or Liverpool. And he was clear that the picture at that time was ugly. But here is what stands out in his words. He said the owners understood the situation. They understood how much work needed to be done, and crucially, everybody was on board. That alignment between the manager, the owners, and the organisation is what makes long-term projects work. You can have the best tactical mind in the world, but if the structure around you is not aligned, you cannot build anything sustainable. What Arteta is describing is the foundation. He came into a difficult situation, he was honest about how difficult it was, and he got everyone moving in the same direction. And the destination of that journey is Saturday's Champions League final. That is the result of what happens when a manager, a club structure, and an ownership group all believe in the same vision and commit to it over time. Miles Lewis-Skelly and the midfield conversation. Now let us talk about something that is very interesting from a developmental perspective. Miles Lewis-Skelly has revealed that he spent the period from December to April training in midfield. He described it as natural to him, but said the purpose was to refine the smaller details of his game. And his conclusion was powerful. He said it felt like that was where he belongs. When asked directly whether he sees his opportunity in midfield, his answer was straightforward. He said he believes so. Now let me give you my analysis of why this matters. Lewis-Skelly is a young player who has shown enormous potential. The fact that Arteta and his coaching staff spent months deliberately developing him in a different position tells you something important about the long-term planning at this club. They are not just using players where they are most comfortable right now. They are preparing players for multiple roles, expanding their versatility and building depth and flexibility into the squad. This is the kind of detail that does not make the biggest headlines, but tells you everything about the quality of work happening at the training ground. Arsenal are thinking ahead. They are developing players with intention. And if Lewis-Skelly does see his future in midfield, that adds another significant option to Arteta's tactical picture going into next season. Arteta on signing Declan Rice, a statement to the world. One of the most revealing conversations of the past day or so came when Arteta was asked by Gary Neville whether signing Declan Rice felt like a big moment. And Arteta's answer was direct and illuminating. He said it was a big moment. He said Arsenal are constantly sending messages, not just to the players and supporters, but to their opponents as well. And signing Rice was a strong message. He described Arsenal as being on another level financially, on another level in terms of the ambition of the players they recruit and the profile of those players. And he said a big club needs to make that kind of statement. The reality for the club is that the Rice signing was not just a football decision. It was a declaration of intent. It told the football world that Arsenal are no longer a selling club. They are a buying club. They are not losing their best players to bigger clubs. They are going out and signing the kind of players that bigger clubs want. That shift in transfer power is one of the most significant transformations this club has undergone. And Arteta is clearly proud of it, not in an arrogant way, but in a way that communicates genuine belief in the direction the club is heading. The Rice signing sent a message. And everything that has followed, including this Champions League final appearance, is proof that the message was backed up by results. The Ramsdale to Raya decision, Arteta's honest confession. Now I want to spend some time on one of the most discussed decisions of Arteta's tenure at Arsenal. The decision to replace Aaron Ramsdale with David Raya in goal. Because Arteta has spoken about this and what he has revealed is important. He was very clear that the decision was not made because Ramsdale lacked quality. He said he was very convinced a change needed to be made, but the reason was that to reach the next level, Arsenal needed a different profile of goalkeeper. That is a crucial distinction. It was not a question of one goalkeeper being better than the other in traditional terms. It was a question of what profile of goalkeeper Arsenal needed to implement the style of play Arteta was demanding. He also acknowledged how difficult the decision was to communicate, both inside the club and externally. He said it did not make sense to everyone at the time, and he revealed that sporting director Edu asked him directly whether he was 100% sure. Edu told him he would be exposing himself by making this call. And Arteta's response? He knew that. He knew the risk. And he still wanted to do it. That is the decision-making process of a manager who backs his convictions regardless of how uncomfortable the situation becomes. He was willing to be wrong publicly. He was willing to take the criticism because he believed in the decision. And now, with David Raya having played a key role in Arsenal winning the Premier League and reaching the Champions League final, the evidence has vindicated that call. It was a bold decision that required courage. And that same courage is what has defined Arteta's entire tenure at this club. If you are new to this channel and this kind of deep analysis is what you have been looking for, please subscribe right now. Hit the subscribe button, because this is exactly what we do here at Melissa Arsenal Analyst. Every story, every decision, every implication. We go deep. Jurrien Timber and the World Cup squad news. There is a significant piece of news that Arsenal supporters will be very happy to hear ahead of Saturday. Jurrien Timber has been selected for the Netherlands World Cup squad. And crucially, his selection confirms that he has submitted his medical portfolio to the Netherlands camp, and their staff have confirmed he is fit to be called up. Now, why does this matter in the context of the Champions League final? Because Timber's fitness has been a subject of discussion in the build-up to the match. The fact that international medical staff have assessed him and cleared him gives a strong indication of where his physical condition is right now. This is very encouraging news for Arsenal. Timber is a versatile and intelligent defender. His presence gives Arteta more options in terms of how Arsenal set up defensively against a Paris Saint-Germain attack that includes some genuinely dangerous players. And we will get into exactly who those players are in just a moment. Nicolas Gyökeres and the set-piece bonus story. Here is a detail that tells you something about how seriously Arsenal take every aspect of their game. Set-piece coach Nicolas Gyökeres has reportedly received a £10,000 bonus for every goal Arsenal score from a corner or free kick this season. Now let me put that in context. Arsenal's set-piece record this season has been exceptional. They have been one of the most dangerous teams in Europe from dead ball situations. Gyökeres' work in designing and coaching those routines has been a measurable tactical advantage. And the club has structured his incentives to reflect exactly that contribution. This is smart club management. You reward the people who make a real difference. You align financial incentives with performance outcomes. And in doing so, you create a culture where everyone in the building, not just the players, is invested in the result. For the Champions League final, Paris Saint-Germain will be very aware of Arsenal's set-piece threat. The question is whether they can stop it. Because if Arsenal get a corner or a free kick in a dangerous area on Saturday, based on everything Gyökeres has produced this season, that is a genuine goal-scoring opportunity. And in a final, those moments decide everything. Transfer targets, Junior Krupi and Morgan Rogers. Now let us move to the transfer picture because it is already taking shape before this season has even officially ended. The situation is that Arsenal are pursuing both Junior Krupi and Morgan Rogers this summer. The possibility exists that both players could end up at Arsenal, with the club looking to bring in 3 or 4 new faces while a similar number are expected to leave. I want to be clear with you that this is at the rumour stage. These are pursuits, not completed signings. No deal has been announced. But the direction of travel is becoming clearer. Arsenal are not standing still. Even as they prepare for the biggest game in recent club history, the planning for next season is already underway. That tells you something about the organisational culture Arteta has helped create. This is not a club that waits for the summer to start thinking about the future. They are always working ahead. And if Krupi and Rogers do join Arsenal this summer, they will be walking into a club that is already operating at the highest level in English and European football. Enzo Fernandez, the contact has been made. Here is one that will generate a lot of conversation. Arsenal have reportedly made contact over a potential move for Enzo Fernandez, the Chelsea midfielder. Real Madrid and Manchester City are also reported to be monitoring him. However, Chelsea have already ruled out any possibility of him joining Arsenal or joining the Premier League champions at this stage. So let me be precise about what the reality is here. Arsenal have made contact. That is confirmed by the information available. But Chelsea have shut down that avenue, at least for now. So this is a situation to monitor, not a done deal, not even close to a done deal. It is the opening stages of what could be a much longer story. What I find interesting is the profile. Fernandez is a World Cup winning midfielder of the highest quality. The fact that Arsenal are making inquiries about a player of his calibre tells you the level they are now operating at in the transfer market. This is not a club looking for bargains. This is a club willing to pursue elite players and make bold moves. Whether this one materialises remains to be seen. But the ambition is clear. Ian Wright backs Mikel Merino for the winning goal. Ian Wright has made a prediction that Arsenal supporters will love. He has gone on record to say he believes Mikel Merino will score the winning goal in the Champions League final against Paris Saint-Germain. His exact words were that he gets winning goal energy from Merino. He said he can feel the story, and he told Merino directly, "You heard it here first." Now, I am not going to analyse this as a statistical prediction. What I will say is that Ian Wright knows this football club. He has seen generations of Arsenal players, and when a man with his connection to Arsenal looks at Merino and sees that kind of energy, it is worth noting Merino has been an important player for Arsenal this season. He brings quality, intelligence, and a winning mentality. The idea of him scoring the decisive goal in the Champions League final is not fantasy. It is a genuine possibility. And if it happens, Ian Wright will have called it before anyone else. Josh Kroenke speaks, the bigger picture. Arsenal owner Josh Kroenke has spoken this week, and what he said is important beyond just the excitement of the final. He acknowledged openly that winning the Premier League puts a target on Arsenal's back. He said rival clubs will come harder next season. He said the champions cannot afford to stand still. And then he revealed something very significant. Arsenal have already started internal discussions on improving both the squad and the club structure for the future. The reality for the club is that this is exactly what separates genuine title-winning teams from one-season wonders. The moment you win, the work starts again. The moment you become champions, everyone is studying you, planning against you, motivated to beat you. And the clubs that stay at the top are the ones who recognise that and respond before the challenge arrives. Kroenke is clearly very aware of this. Arsenal are not celebrating and coasting. They are planning. They are already thinking about how to stay ahead. That is the mindset of a club that wants sustained success, not a single memorable season. Patrick Vieira on Arsenal's future dominance. Patrick Vieira has also spoken this week, and I want to address what he said about Arsenal's potential for long-term dominance. He said he hopes this current Arsenal team can do what his generation could not. He pointed to the squad's combination of youth and experience. He said there is no reason why they cannot dominate the Premier League for the upcoming years. And he said Arsenal's squad, with the stability they have, can be dominant in the years to come. That is a powerful statement from one of the greatest players in this club's history. And what makes it credible is the specificity of his observation. He is not just being sentimental. He is identifying something real, which is the stability and the profile of this squad. Young players with talent who also have experience. That combination is rare. And when you have it within a well-managed club structure, the potential for sustained success is genuine. Patrick Vieira warns Arsenal about Ousmane Dembélé. Full analysis. Now let us go deep on the Champions League final preview itself, because Patrick Vieira has given Arsenal and their supporters a very specific warning. He spoke to Sky Sports and he was clear about who Arsenal need to watch most carefully in this final. His answer was Ousmane Dembélé. Vieira's argument is direct. He said Dembélé has been the best footballer in the world over the last 2 to 3 years. He highlighted not just his technical ability or his goals, but also the fact that he works extremely hard for the team. Scoring important goals and working hard, those two things together make Dembélé an incredibly difficult problem to solve defensively. Now, the complicating factor here, and this is crucial, is that Dembélé has been struggling with an injury and has only just returned to training ahead of the final. So his exact physical condition heading into Saturday is unclear. He may start, he may come off the bench, he may not be available at all. The situation with his fitness is genuinely uncertain at this point, but Vieira's point stands regardless. If Dembélé is available and if he is anywhere near his best form, he is the player who can change this game on his own. That is the scale of the threat he presents. Vieira also praised Luis Enrique's work at Paris Saint-Germain specifically. He said Luis Enrique changed 1 or 2 players and really managed to change the mentality of that entire team. He described a good spirit and a lot of confidence within the Paris Saint-Germain camp. That is a very honest and balanced assessment from a man who clearly wants Arsenal to win, but is not pretending the challenge is simple. The second player Vieira specifically highlighted at the back for Paris Saint-Germain is Marquinhos. He pointed out that Marquinhos has played most of his football this season in the Champions League, making just 14 League One appearances. That is a defender who has been specifically preserved and managed for European competition. A player with enormous experience who gives Paris Saint-Germain defensive balance and organisational leadership at the back. The combination of Dembélé's attacking threat from the front and Marquinhos' experience and defensive intelligence at the back makes Paris Saint-Germain a genuinely complete team. This is not a final where Arsenal can expect to be comfortable at any point. But here is the other side of Vieira's analysis, and this is the part that matters most to Arsenal supporters. He concluded by describing this as a clash between the 2 best teams in Europe. Not Paris Saint-Germain versus a team trying to belong at the top table. 2 genuinely elite European teams going head-to-head for the biggest prize in club football. That is the respect Arsenal have earned. Not just from Vieira, not just from Guardiola, but from the entire football world. And on Saturday, they have the opportunity to do something this club has never done in its entire history: win the European Cup. Let me bring everything together now. Because when you look at all of these moments, all of these conversations, all of these revelations from the past 24 to 48 hours, a very clear picture emerges. This is a football club that is fully aligned, from the owner, Josh Kroenke, acknowledging the challenge ahead and committing to continued improvement, to the manager, Mikel Arteta, making brave decisions and being honest about the journey, to the players, from Gyökeres' focused pre-final message to the promise of young players like Lewis Skelly developing in new positions, to the coaching staff, with Jova being rewarded for genuine tactical contribution, to the legends, with Vieira and Wright both backing this team and adding their voices to what feels like a historic moment. The situation is that Arsenal are ready, not just emotionally ready, not just motivated, but structurally ready, tactically ready, and mentally ready. They are the Premier League champions. They have the experience of a long and difficult European campaign behind them. And they have a manager who has shown time and again that he is willing to make the hard calls and back his convictions. Paris Saint-Germain are a formidable opponent. Dembélé, if fit, is a genuine world-class threat. Marquinhos brings experience that cannot be taught. Luis Enrique has built a team with real collective spirit and genuine tactical identity. But Arsenal have earned the right to be here. And on Saturday, everything comes down to 90 minutes on a pitch. All of the planning, all of the conversations, all of the decisions that led to this moment will come down to what happens in that game. And based on everything we know, everything that has been said and everything this club has shown this season, Arsenal are more than capable of making history. This has been Melissa, Arsenal Analyst. If you found this analysis valuable, please hit the subscribe button and leave a comment below with your prediction for Saturday's final. The journey has brought us here. Now let us see what Arsenal do with this moment. Come on, Arsenal.